Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Intermediate Composition. My name is Valerie Malott. You can call me Professor Malott or Prof Malott if you want to, or you can call me by my first name, Valerie. Any of those is fine with me. This is Intermediate Composition, English 2089 for the summer 2025 semester, term, whatever you want to call it. And this is our Canvas homepage. So there are a few things that I want to go over with you on this. Hopefully this introductory video won't be very long. There's a lot of information available for you. I don't want to read through it all because you are intelligent people, and if you want to read it, you can read it. And of course, we know nothing is more boring than somebody reading through a screen that you could read yourselves. So we have a few things here on this home page, and this will be the page, our welcome page. It'll look a little bit different for you as students. I could just briefly show you the view as student. This is typically what it will look like for you, and this is the page that I will be directing you to time and again. As you can see, we have the Getting Started, Resources, Syllabus, and Modules buttons. And I'll quickly go through that. And then we have 3 units of writing exercises that we're going to be working on in the next 13 weeks. So you can access those units by clicking on those buttons. We also have weekly modules that takes you to a weekly overview page for each week that we are in session here. And then lastly, you have the course to-do list, and you can see we have a bunch of upcoming assignments. So that's what you see in student view. I'm going to switch back to my instructor view here. So because I don't have the course actually published yet, it will be once you're watching this, but as I am recording this, I haven't done the complete course publish. So this is still kind of in draft mode. So we have the Getting Started button, and this is what I recommend students start with. You're watching this video, and then you can go through and navigate through each of the primary buttons that are there on the course homepage. I have some information about navigating through the course. We have course modules and the course syllabus, and I'll actually activate the links for these here once I go back to edit and make sure everything is perfect for the course before I publish it. We will also have announcements on the home page, but you can access that through the announcements tab as well. That is primarily how I will be communicating with you. If there are any updates, any reminders, please check your announcements. So it's best to customize your notification settings, and you can go in and figure out how to do that within your computer, but you can also do it within the apps, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But that Canvas notification settings guide explains to you how you can set your notifications for your announcements as well as your Canvas inbox. And this is the inbox over here in this tab. You can also go into your account and change the settings that way. So make sure you do that. Modules can be accessed by using the Modules button on the left. When you click on that, it gives you a different view than our course homepage. You have access to all of the information that you might need for this course in this modules look. So it's a little bit different than if you were to click and look at course content week by week. Those weekly modules just take you to each weekly overview page, whereas modules gives you a broad overview of all of the things that we have set up on this page, all the different units of learning and so forth. So let me go back to the Getting Started page. And then we have a resources module as well. And that's the next tab that you'll actually see, I think. All of the, there'll be course overview page, which explains how I do things in this class. If you're new to using Canvas, then there's also this How to Navigate Canvas module that you can look at. And to proceed through the material, you just click Next at the bottom of the page. The time zone in Canvas, because I am located in Ohio and we're on Eastern time zone, all of the course due dates and times will default to that Eastern time zone. So if you're accessing the course from somewhere else, whether you're plus or minus, you need to keep in mind that all of these are due in Eastern time. So make sure that you set your time zone in your account to ensure that the due dates will be reflected accurately according to your local time. We're currently in Eastern Daylight Time here in Ohio, so keep that in mind as well. If you're accessing the course from a mobile device, which you can do, please make sure that you review the guides, the following mobile guides that Canvas has set up for you. And so you can download Canvas Student in both Android and Apple. So it would be Google Play and the Apple Store. You should find those apps. I believe the Canvas Student app, I don't have it on my phone. I have it on my iPad, just so I can see what things look like from the student view, because I'm not able to switch between instructor view and student view in my mobile devices. I can on the computer, but not in the mobile devices. I believe the color of it might be a yellow Canvas logo instead of the red or the purple Canvas logo, but don't quote me on that. So first things that you want to do, of course, is you're watching this overview video, and if there will be a link if you want to go back and review something. Review the course syllabus, so you can do that through this link. I am not going to do a syllabus overview video. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights as I look at the course syllabus in a moment. Make sure that you review the resources that I've made available to you in the resources module, and then go to modules and look at the first week's course content. So that is the navigating this course, getting started, right? First thing you want to do is make sure what things you need to do in order to be ready for this course. That resources button opens up the modules for us, and it takes us to this Claremont student resources. There are a couple of links that take you outside of our course page. It should open up in a new page, which it does. And it has the student resources. These are for UC Claremont. If you are enrolled in another campus outside of UC Claremont, of course, you're going to have your own campus-specific set of policies, but I think most of them are pretty similar within the campuses. So we have campuses, not canvases. We have the Canvas student Canvas tutorials. We have technical help, Claremont policies. We have a link to the library. We also have the link for the UC Learning Commons, as well as academic support for UC Claremont students, student support services, accessibility resources. HonorLock is not something that I use in my courses because I don't give exams, as well as financial support. So that's the Claremont Student Resources tab. No, don't want to do that. Apologies. So that's in resources. Oh, and this is the how to navigate Canvas. If this is your first time doing a class in the Canvas learning management system, please make sure that you take a look at this module. And again, in the Claremont Student Resources, we also have a link to our campus library. It has online databases, and you have access to all the materials within the UC system. And then I have my own course resources page. I just want to quickly look at that. So here we have the guide for Canvas Student mobile app, both iOS and Apple and Android. We also have some other helpful links. We have MLA style 2021 update. So that's dealing with MLA citation. You are welcome to use other sources, other types of citation methods in this course. So not just MLA. If you primarily use APA in your major, then I encourage you to use APA documentation and formatting for your assignments. I don't want you to feel like you have to master both MLA and APA, or if you use Chicago or some other documentation style. We also have a download a PDF for documenting and citing sources. And then I have some OER materials, Mississippi Red Lab, UC Writing Resources, Purdue Online Writing Lab. A lot of these are MLA focused again. But at the bottom, we have this English 2089 resource. I cannot talk today. 2089 Researching Discourse Research Guide put out by the UC libraries. So that's really handy. I keep all of my videos on YouTube. So I have my own YouTube channel that you can check out. Specifically, I have created the English 2089 playlist for this summer that will take you to the playlist. And these, I think, are placed in order of when I uploaded them. I may change the order a little bit just so it makes more sense to how you might be accessing the information. So we'll probably have at the top the most, I'm not sure what time order I'm going to go through. I'll have to think about that. But we have this video playlist for you, so you can go back and review things if you need to. Then some of my more generic and commonly used resources using a citation generator, formatting in Microsoft Word, formatting in Google Docs. You're welcome to use Google Docs. You will need to know how to download your document from your Google account to your computer or your device, and then save it as a correct file format, either in Microsoft format or a PDF. And then upload it into the system. Hopefully by now you all know how to do that. It's 2089. Most of you are upper division undergrads, so it should be not a problem. And then we have some MLA citation tips. I may add some more resources, as I said before. So those are my personal course resources for this course. Then, of course, we have the course syllabus. You can reach it from that button. You can also access it from the button in the left-hand navigation, or the link in the left-hand navigation panel. I do have a PDF version of the course syllabus. I do recommend that you download this if you have to transfer somewhere. You might need to have this document as proof, in as well as the proof from your transcript, right? Sometimes they like to see, because English classes can vary. Usually in the state of Ohio, it's not a problem, but if you transfer someplace out of state, it could be problematic. So it's always good to have a hard copy in your system for your course syllabi. Easy navigation links. Again, you should already know how to do most of these. You have my information. My last name is MLAOTT, Malott. So my email is malottvj@ucmail.uc.edu. You can also message me through the inbox if you want to use Outlook and send it from your Outlook, your UC email account. You can do that, but you can also communicate with me through the Canvas inbox. It's not a problem. I do give out my personal phone number. It's 513-266-4308. Country code is +1 if you are accessing from out of the country. I ask you to reserve texting for absolute emergencies. So if for some reason you wind up in the hospital, maybe you had an accident or you have some serious illness going on, and you can only communicate with me from your phone or your mobile device, you can text me to let me know what's going on. But I really encourage you to reserve text for emergency situations. My office hours will be flexible. It's summertime, so I do a lot of traveling with my son who plays travel baseball. Um, so I don't have any set office hours. They will be virtual and we would have to set up an appointment. So I typically like 24 hours heads up just so I can plan my day around our meeting time. Again, the communication expectations, you should be checking your UC email or your Canvas inbox at least once a day to make sure you're not missing communications. Check the announcements, make sure that you have the notifications for announcements as well as your inbox. If you need to schedule an appointment, you can schedule it through Canvas. It's really easy. I have a link set up here for you. And again, make sure you have your notifications for announcements as well as any inbox conversation messages to notify immediately. I try to give feedback on assignments within 48 hours of the assignment due date, not after you have submitted it. So if you've submitted it early, typically I won't set time aside and provide individualized comments just for you. I like to kind of set a day aside. So usually Mondays or Tuesdays, depending on what's going on in my life, I will devote time to provide you feedback on your assignments, typically on your rough drafts. Other things, those short assignments, I may provide some commentary, but typically those are graded complete and incomplete. It does not mean I don't read them. I do read them. I just don't provide additional commentary because typically you don't need it. So you can read through the course description, the purpose of the course, and then of course we have 5 course learning outcomes. I design my courses using backward design principles. So everything that we do has a purpose and is tied into one, if not multiple, course learning outcomes. And each week you'll see in the weekly modules that I try to tie those, our weekly outcomes to the learning outcomes for the course. I'm not going to read through those. You know how to read. I will be changing this because this is a 20, well, I don't have to change that. Obviously, you are in this course because you passed English 1001 with a minimum grade of C minus. So yeah, the rest of these things you can take a read through. It's a lot of required information, what we call boilerplate language. So you probably will skip down to assessments and activities as well as the course schedule because this is really the meat of the course, right? I do have, again, a hard copy for you to download into your files for the course schedule. This is pretty much fleshed out. I don't think I'll be adding anything to it. I might be taking away some things if we discover that there, it's too much reading or some of the smaller assignments. So I just have, I have all of the assignments in and all of the reading. So you can see what we have ahead of us. And actually in this course schedule, I'm going to pull it up just for a moment. It might take a minute for it to load. But in the course schedule PDF, I actually have links to the readings that are not PDF files. So yeah, this is taking a while. Oh, here we go. Oh, did I? No, okay. So you can see here, anything that has a hyperlink is a URL that takes us outside of the course, but you can access those. You can see I use several OERs in the course. So let me close that. 13 weeks is what we have. We last until Saturday, August 9th. That is the final day up for submissions. You can see how I'm grading things. And then there are a few other things. So I'm pretty firm on due dates. I like to say that all the time. Yeah, I'm very firm on due dates. You really need to be observing due dates. It's not only in your best interest, it's something that's going to be expected of you out in the working world. However, I am willing to accept late work with a few important exceptions. I know that life happens, but I will work with you. I really don't want it to be a habitual thing. So if you are habitually late on assignments, we're going to have a conversation at some point. I don't need to know the reason why it's late. I only ask that you give me a heads up with a general idea of when I can expect the submission. And here is a sample assignment extension email. I encourage you to copy that and have it in your file somewhere. That way you can paste it in to an email. And again, you can send it through the inbox as well. So here are the exceptions when I won't accept late work. If it's a peer response activities, your peers should not have to wait for you to complete their work in order for peer review to happen, right? So be respectful of your classmates. Get your stuff done on time. That way the course will move very smoothly. I also won't accept anything past the last day of the semester, which is Saturday, August 9th. And of course, the reason for that is I need to not only assess a full class. We have 22 people in this class, and the final assignments are pretty lengthy. So I need some time to assess that, but I also have a very rapid turnaround time between getting those things graded and posting the grades, the final grades. I only have a few days. So, with those longer assignments coming at the end of the term, it'll be a hectic few days for me. So I can't extend the due date past the last day of the semester. And of course, I'm not going to review final papers in the final 48 hours before final revisions are due. If you did not get your rough draft in on time and you are expecting feedback within 48 hours of the final revisions, you're just not going to receive it. You didn't prioritize for me, so I'm not going to prioritize for you. That's just, again, you have to be mindful of my time. Most people only teach one class during the summer, and I have other things going on in my life as well. We all do. We all have things going on. So be mindful of people's time. Attendance for this class, obviously, even though it's an online class that we don't have any scheduled meetings, we still have weekly attendance requirements. So attendance is typically counted submitting an academic assignment, submitting a quiz or an exam, or participating in an online discussion. Simply logging into the class without any kind of active participation, and we do have things every week, right? That does not constitute official weekly attendance. So if you're logging in and you're checking your grade or seeing if you got any kind of messages from me, that doesn't count as an active attendance. Participation must be within the class-specific online learning management system within Canvas. And then a bunch of other required things. A couple of dates and deadlines to be mindful of. The last day to drop this class, that means there will be no academic record of the class, and you should get at least a partial refund, if not full refund, is May 26th. So May 26th is 2 weeks after the start of the course. And the last day to withdraw from classes is August 1st. And that is a Friday. So that would be not the last Friday. So a week before the end of classes. And again, class starts May 12th and ends Saturday, August 9th. And there is no final exam in this course. That was a lot lengthier than I thought it was going to be. My apologies. So that's the syllabus. Make sure that you read through it and understand everything that is going on there. And then, of course, the modules button takes you to the modules. There is also a plagiarism module. You should be familiar with the do's and don'ts of academic writing. If you need a refresher, then you can take a look at the plagiarism unit that I have here. It's not required of you, but highly recommended just to review what you should not do. Then we have these unit overviews. So it's helpful at the start of each unit to kind of have this overview of what we are hoping to achieve over the next several weeks. So obviously we're starting with Unit 1. I have a unit overview video, and I will have them for all 3 units. Right now, I just have them recorded for Unit 1 and Unit 2. Unit 1 will last from May 12th. That's when we start, and it'll go through June 8th. Week 1, and so I have each of these take you to the overview pages. We have literacy and identity for the first week. Week 2 is comparing stories. Week 3 is literacy narratives, and week 4 is kind of a bridge week, and I explain that in my video. We have, so I include it here just because we have the literacy narrative revision due on May 8th, but we'll actually be starting a new unit that week. I give you the course learning outcomes for the unit, and then I also have the checklist of assignments. So that way when going into the unit, you have a little bit of an idea of how much we're actually going to be working on over the course of a few weeks. Each of these units will last about a month-ish, right? First one is actually closer to 3 weeks. And then Unit 2 will be, let's go back to Unit 2. Will last until the end of June, and then the rest of July and the first week of August will be Unit 3. So again, you see we have 4 weeks here, fewer assignments here because it's a little bit longer, a little bit more in-depth stuff that you're doing. And then for week 3, we are working on discourse communities. I'm actually going to put the title up here as well so that you know what you're working on. So as I said before, Unit 3 is a little bit longer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Excuse me, but essentially the most of July and a little bit of August. And we have several discussions and short writes going on, but then we have this much longer discourse community paper. And this paper is a bit different than anything you've probably been used to in any kind of English class, but it's really some interesting things that you'll be digging into and researching as you kind of expand your ideas within the field of writing studies. So those are the overviews. And then I just want to walk you quickly through what our weekly modules will look like. Each module looks the same, starts with an overview, a little bit of a blurb. I used to record overview videos. I don't do that very much now because I realized that very few students were watching them. So it takes a lot of time to record these videos and edit them and upload them to YouTube and all of that. So I just don't bother doing that anymore. You can read, you're intelligent people. I don't have to do a video for you. Each week, I also have weekly objectives, and then we have the checklist. So the checklist is the assignments of things that you need to do. It's a given that I see right here, review readings and media. So although I don't have an assignment set up, it's not going to show up in your to-do list. It's understood that you're going to come to the weekly module and you're going to see the readings and you're going to read the things that you need to read. All of these readings are not super long. I know it may look like a lot, but they typically are not very long. And sometimes I'll include a PowerPoint or a PDF version of a lecture that I have given. So these things, when you see week 1 literacy PowerPoint or PDF version, they're not required readings. It's not like I'm going to test you on any of these. But the readings, there will often be some kind of a discussion or a short write that's related to things that have been discussed in the readings. So it's a good idea to take a look at that. I also have an introduction to the unit, which just is an overview of the bigger assignment that will be due at the end of the unit. So make sure to take a look at those types of things. I'll also have lectures and media available to you. Anything that is prefaced with Prof. Malat, I've created, right? If you don't see my name on it, then it's a video from somebody else. And I do occasionally use outside materials because, hey, let's not recreate the wheel. If I find really good stuff out there on the internet, I'm going to use it and not create my own stuff. But there is that Unit 1 overview that was also embedded on the Unit 1 overview page. And then I typically will do some kind of a reading summary using a PowerPoint. Just to give you an introduction to the readings, it's not a surrogate for the readings, right? It's just to help those of you who might struggle with reading comprehension, like myself, to understand and have a little bit of a foundation before you dive into the readings. And then we have the literacy narrative project, which I talk about. What else? Then there are some optional things. These are really interesting readings. So if you choose to read this, again, I have a PowerPoint as well as a video summary of this reading. And I have a few things. If you need to review rhetoric, the rhetorical situation, rhetorical appeals, I have a video on that, as well as a micro lecture reminding you how to annotate your readings. So hopefully you are getting into the habit of making annotations on your readings, whether you use a digital annotation tool. I know there are lots of them out there that are pretty fantastic. So just a reminder of you should be annotating your reading. As you get into higher level research and reading, you really need to be annotating, taking notes, and really interacting with the readings in a scholarly manner. So that's what each of these weekly overviews are like. Sometimes there will be optional materials, sometimes there aren't, sometimes it may seem like there's very little there, and it's usually, I try to cut back, especially on a week where you might have a rough draft or a revision due. I try to cut back on the readings quite a bit. So just make sure that you are looking at the weekly overview. It's always a good idea to kind of do that early in the week. And actually, one thing that I forgot to introduce you to. So if you click on this, if you go into the Getting Started page and you click on the course overview page, it talks a little bit about how I do things. So typically, even though we don't have any core set meetings, I like to run my week Monday through Sunday. So it's a good idea to check in on Monday or very early in the week to make sure you're aware of what needs to be done, because sometimes there will be mid-week assignments due. But it's a good idea to check early in the week so you know what's expected of you each week, you know how much reading you have to do, and you know what assignments are going to be due. I try to send out a weekly announcement that's posted at 8 a.m. on Monday mornings. Because again, we might have occasional things that are due in the middle of the week. Typically, it would be a discussion board response or a peer review that might be due in the middle of the week. Each weekly module indicates homework and when it's due. Due dates for Sundays, sometimes Wednesdays, right? So it's always a good idea to check Canvas every day. Definitely check it early in the week, and that way you can plan your week, plan around work and plan around your social lives and that kind of stuff. Course organization and navigation. Again, it's best to navigate through the modules You can do that either by clicking on the course module week number, or you over here on the modules page or modules link. If you navigate by assignments, you're missing out on a heck of a lot of work, right? So if we view this as students, it's just going to show you the upcoming assignments, and you're going to miss out on important information, important content. So make sure that you use the modules tab to navigate and access the weekly modules. Let me find that course overview page again, and then make sure you have your notifications enabled so you're not missing out on any important course announcements. Check Canvas frequently through the week, ideally every day, but I know I'm a different type of person than most of you. And then we have other things. So time management, of course, taking an online class means that you have to be pretty efficient with your time. It doesn't mean that taking an online class is suddenly easier because you don't have your butt in a seat in a classroom, right? You don't have to be physically present. You can do the work whenever you want to within that week. So, it's just a matter of finding the balance and making sure that you prioritize your online class because it's something that you're shelling out a lot of money for, right? So it should be a high priority. It shouldn't be a thing that you leave until the last minute. You really do need to prioritize your time around this course. Are online courses easier? Absolutely not. They are not easier. You may have a lot more flexibility because you're not in the classroom, but you are still going to be spending several hours a week accessing course materials and completing your assignments. Do you teach yourself in an online course? No, you don't. You could if you wanted to, but to do well, you need to be motivated, responsible, but you're also not alone in this course. I am here for you, and your peers are going to be here for you. We have the option to conference if you want to. My virtual door is almost always open. I have the video lectures from previous course sections, as well as new things that I've recorded specifically for this year's course. I've updated a lot of things since it's been a few years since I've taught this course. So you might see a little bit of recycled material, but most of it will be pretty new content. Can you work at your own pace? Kinda, but there are weekly deadlines. So assignments are typically due on Sundays. You can work ahead, but it does not mean that I'm going to provide feedback until I'm ready to provide feedback on that material. So we'll never meet in person because it's totally asynchronous. We can meet one-on-one over Zoom. We have no regular attendance where you're required to be here online at a certain time. Of course, there's guidelines for how much you're expected to work each week. And I always find those guidelines to be mind-blowingly long. It's like, who really spends that much time working on their classes? I don't think I ever did, but that just might be me. What happens if you're sick and unable to complete coursework by the due date? Again, stay in contact with me. Email me and I will work with you to make sure that you have some alternatives and we can make sure that you successfully complete the course. Written assignment formatting and submissions, you should know how to do this by now. So essentially, that is it with this overview. I apologize for it being so long, but there is so much stuff that I want to make sure that you understand about how I like the course to be run, how to navigate through the course, and what things will be required of you. So if you have any questions for me, you know how to get in touch with me. Again, my contact information is right here at the bottom of the page. You can also find it in the syllabus. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know everybody. I know I've had a few of you in previous classes, so I'm really excited to see you back for yet another go with me. So I think it's going to be a fantastic summer and a really great term. And I'm really excited about teaching this course again. I love teaching this course. I think the materials that we use in this course and the assignments are really, really interesting and kind of open up the world of rhetoric and composition or writing studies to students who may have previously thought that English was a really stupid class to take. So hopefully I will change your minds and I'll get you excited about thinking about things and thinking about English and writing in a new way. Take care, everybody, and have a fantastic week.